Tonight, CBS News is closely tracking Ohio, where voters are deciding on an abortion rights ballot measure, and Virginia, where the Old Dominion's entire state legislature is up for grabs and could help determine if its Republican governor has a bigger political future beyond the state. And two other southern states, Kentucky and Mississippi, are electing governors tonight. Joining us now, the man who will be tracking all of this for us, CBS News Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto, is in New York to help go through some of the biggest contests. Anthony, let's begin there in Ohio, the abortion access ballot measure drawing much of the national intrigue. If I'm sitting at home tonight watching us and diving into the results from the Buckeye State, what part of the state best indicates where things may go?
Hey there, Ed. I can start off by taking you all through what to watch. The number I'm going to start with, though, is 60%. That's from our exit poll as of now. Voting is still going on. But 60% of voters so far told us they were dissatisfied or even angry about the overturn of Roe v. Wade. Well, that's one thing. Now, it doesn't mean they want to change the state's constitution. Let me emphasize that. But that's what's coming out of the exit poll right off the press here at 5 o'clock. Still, though, hours of voting yet to go. The other thing I want to tell you right off the bat is we've been tracking turnout, Election Day turnout, all through the day. Our current estimate from the decision desk is that this could hit 3.9 million. Now, to give you some context, that's about 95% of the midterm electorate of the Senate race. What does that tell you? It tells you that this is going to be a motivating factor, probably for both Democrats and Republicans, and that's something that I think both parties are watching closely as we go into 2024. Does abortion motivate people to turn out? Democrats certainly hope so. So that's where that is. And then the other thing I want to watch tonight is the early vote, because in Ohio, I think it's going to be about 25%. Whoops, look at that. About 25% early vote, about 900,000 early votes. And I want to tell everybody, those are the ones that are going to get counted first. When polls close at 7:30 tonight, you're probably going to see the yes number jump out, because in Ohio, a lot of Democrats will be voting by mail, but voting in advance. And then if Republicans are doing a little better, they're going to get more of that Election Day vote, and things might shrink back a little bit. That's how to watch Ohio tonight. You want to talk about dropping hints, that's all the ones we'll be looking for here at the data desk, Ed.
Kentucky and Mississippi, of course, are also holding governor's races tonight. Where in those states might give us a sense of where things are headed? All
right, so let's talk about Kentucky, because that's the other one. This one I think is important because Andy Beshear is a Democrat running in a heavily Republican state. Now, his approval ratings have been pretty good. He's had a Republican legislature that he's had to work with, or in some cases doesn't get to do everything he wants to do because of it. But this is a big test of, well, how does a Democrat navigate in a deeply red state? And if you want to watch what's going to happen here, I think turnout in and around Frankfort is the place to start. And then the other race, let me go down to Mississippi here. All right, look, you know, Elvis Presley made blue Hawaii. Can Brandon Presley make blue Mississippi? Maybe, right? But it's going to be hard. But it's going to be hard.
I'll give you that one.
But wait all day to use that one, Ed. But here's the deal. This is obviously a Republican state. Tate Reeves, you know, in polling and just basic electorate might have an advantage. But a lot of people think maybe Presley can make this thing close. So that's the other one watching. That one, polls close at 8 o'clock. So that'll probably take a little while. That'll go till 9, past maybe towards 10, before we can start to see what's going on there, Ed.
And you, more than anyone in this organization, knows apples-to-apples comparisons are not necessarily what we're in the business of doing, and not healthy for our journalism. But if you were looking at big themes about tonight, either going in or coming out of this, what are you keeping in mind, and what are you looking for thematically?
I want to see if turnout, where Democrats are trying to get turnout up, specifically in Ohio, meets what they would expect, because, as you know, the White House and other Democrats are hoping that even if things like the economy get voters in the Democratic base a little bit less motivated, that things like the abortion issue are something that, as it did in the midterms, get Democrats to turn out. And right now I can tell you, in the national polling, Democrats feel less motivated than Republicans do, Ed.
Yeah, well, we'll be here throughout the night, and you, of course, will be guiding the results and what it all means. Anthony Salvanto, we'll check in with you later. Thank you for now. And as we mentioned, voters in Ohio are voting on a ballot measure that, if approved, would enshrine access to abortion services in the state's constitution. Abortion rights groups are hoping to extend their winning streak in Ohio tonight after succeeding in all 6 other states where similar measures related to the issue of abortion access have been on the ballot in the last year. CBS News national correspondent Jericka Duncan joins us now from Columbus. Jericka, great to see you there in Ohio's state capitol. Remind us specifically what is on the ballot tonight. What is it that Ohio voters are deciding on?
So this is issue number 1, and this really comes down to enshrining a woman's right to an abortion, a legal right. This is the first time that a measure like this has been taken up before voters. We're talking about changing, or adding, I should say, to the state's constitution to protect this right. It's why it's so critical for many people here. As you probably recall, back in 2019, the Republican Governor Mike DeWine signed a heartbeat bill into effect, and that was for 6 weeks. Now, that ban did not include protections for rape or incest. As soon as Roe v. Wade was overturned, that took effect, but then it was paused, and it currently is still paused. So pro-abortion rights advocates that I've spoken to said that they're concerned that if this measure does not pass, that ban could potentially take effect sooner than later. Again, we did speak to Governor Mike DeWine, and I asked him about what would happen if this measure is passed. Take a listen.
In the history of the state, I don't believe there's been one example of a constitutional amendment that has been put in by referendum, which is what this is, that has been then changed again by the people. So as a practical matter, this will end the debate or make it very difficult, at least, to change that. If, in fact, it is defeated, then we will have the opportunity to try to get something that is closer to where the majority of Ohioans are.
Yeah, so as you heard him mention there, he's acknowledging that if this is defeated, that it actually will become, the law will ensure those protections that we talked about in terms of enshrining this as a legal right because of this amendment to the state constitution. But I can tell you that there will be a fight. And I think even those who support this amendment say even if it does pass, they expect to hear or at least see some efforts, as they have seen over the last 10 or 15 years in this state, to limit access to abortion. But we did speak again to voters and leaders on both sides of this discussion, and I want to just play some of that sound as well.
These are very personal medical decisions. They should not be decided by the government. Politicians in Columbus do not understand what's going on in an emergency room.
What issue 1 is about it's about cementing late-term abortion in Ohio's constitution and taking away parental rights. So when we talk to Ohioans, issue 1 just goes too far, whether they're pro-life, pro-choice, or somewhere in between.
So turnout is expected to be higher than normal. The Secretary of State acknowledged just a short while ago that over 860,000 people partake in early voting, and they're expecting about 60% of the people who voted today to represent the rest. The proposed amendment, again, to enshrine, to codify a woman's right to a legal abortion. The polls close here at 7:30 in Ohio. Ed?
Jericka, all eyes on the Buckeye State tonight. We're glad you're there for us. We'll be talking to you later on. Take care for now. We're also closely watching Virginia tonight. Although he's not on the ballot, the Old Dominion's Republican Governor Glenn Duncan is hoping his party can regain full control of the state legislature. Here's his final pitch to voters.
We've delivered, and we ask you to extend our license to lead, help us hold our House, flip our Senate, and send me a team that'll work with me in Richmond, not against me, and we will bring Virginia to new heights.
CBS News Chief Election and Campaign Correspondent Robert Costa joins us now. Good to see you, sir. Balance of power is up for grabs in Virginia tonight, but the political future of that guy may also be on the ballot tonight.
There's been some terrific reporting done in recent days, including by Molly Ball at the Wall Street Journal, about how Youngkin's trying to set up a framework for how Republicans can articulate a position on abortion for 2024. Duncan and Virginia Republicans have taken this position on a 15-week ban. And this is different than what we've seen in Florida, and you've covered so well with Governor DeSantis with his 6-week ban. If Duncan wins tonight in terms of his allies winning the Virginia Senate, winning the Virginia control of the legislature, it could set a precedent for how Republicans move forward on this issue, willing to talk about abortion, but only willing to go so far in more blue states or states President Biden won.
And we should remind voters, viewers, this is like a off year election. This is something where mostly the most rabid of voters show up, and otherwise it's a kind of a sleepy set of contests because it's just the legislature. But the governor has turned this into not only a statewide, but really a national contest, in part because he's trying to load test the theory on abortion for Republicans. $150 million plus spent on a handful of races, essentially in suburban Washington and suburban Richmond. He's putting a lot on the line here tonight if this doesn't go his way.
Well, Virginia Republicans and national Republicans want to do well in Virginia because they know even if it's just one state, it's often going to be interpreted by donors nationwide, by Republicans, as a sign of enthusiasm or a lack thereof ahead of 2024. So it's understandable the parties want to do well in Virginia. And this is a state that Republicans want to start to climb back in politically. And Duncan is someone who's been recruited to run for president, though I just spoke with New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu, and he said it's probably too late, but that hasn't stopped people from saying to Duncan, maybe you should think about getting in. And Duncan, I think, even if he doesn't run in November or December, he's going to hover, like a few other Republicans, as someone who could run toward the convention should former President Trump ever get convicted next year and there's a full crisis in the Republican Party. But at this point, so many Republicans are willing to accept former President Trump, even if he is convicted, that it's not clear that that moment would ever come where the party would say we really need to take a break from Trump.
Yeah. Beyond Virginia, what are you looking at tonight?
I always like to pay attention to my home county, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and the Montgomery County, the Philadelphia collar counties, because they're having county commissioner elections tonight, municipal elections, and Pennsylvania, with its judicial races, its county races, really could be a flashpoint about where Pennsylvania is going to go in 2024.
You're going to elect a new mayor in Philadelphia, most likely tonight, right? There's no runoff there. Cheryl Parker could potentially be the city's first female mayor. You're in that area. You can always watch CBS Philadelphia, of course, for more on that.
KYW3.
That's right. You also mentioned Chris Sununu and Molly Ball. Both of them are coming up